All right, what's up, everybody? Christopher Leon Johnson here. So, I usually don't do these type of videos. I think people know about what I do for my content. I do basically local politics. I deal with basically only like New York City related politics. Even if I have to deal with the state, I cover that and I just talk about stuff like that and I get engaged with that type of stuff. But this is kind of like a rare video to do in the summertime because I just recently saw a tweet by Marjorie Taylor Greene sending a letter to the U.S. Attorney General, the pardons attorney, requesting that Mr. George Santos, who's currently serving a 7-year sentence in federal prison for many crimes he did, such as fraud and like campaign finance violations and stuff like that, to be pardoned by the U.S. to be commuted. His having sentence commuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office, because I believe, like I said, I met George a few times. I met him when he ran for Congress, and when he got in that situation with Congress because of the fact that he lied about being Jewish. And the truth of the matter of the fact is that the reason George got convicted is because he lied about being Jewish. Marjorie Taylor Greene, because George actually supported her for Congress, despite the fact that there are a lot of fake Republicans didn't want her to be Congressperson. Let me make this clear, right? I believe that the sentence of George Santos is cruel and unusual punishment for what he did as a congressperson, the way he got into office. Yeah, it was really disingenuous of the way that he got into Congress was by lying about being Jewish. And I'm not here to ever defend that because I support my Jewish people. I love Jews. I love my Jewish people. I support Israel, and I will never ever deny that. I support Israel. I support Palestine. Make this clear that I want to make this really clear that this pardonship and communication of George Santos is the job of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to pardon or commute George Santos' sentence. And I want to make this clear. This is my opinion, right? This is my feeling about what's happening with George Santos, right? And the whole thing. I believe that Santos need a pardon. Santos need a full pardon for his crimes because of the fact that Santos supported Trump. Santos was one of the only people that was one of the people in New York State politics in the Republican line, conservative politics that really supported Donald Trump. And anybody know when it comes to Santos, and you know how Santos was rolling, despite the fact that, he lied his way to office, like the Distinguished Gentleman movie. He lied his way to office. He supported Trump where Trump wasn't that popular when he was down and out. Santos was one of Trump's biggest cheerleaders when Trump was really irrelevant in 2022, in 2023, in 2024. He was really irrelevant. And Santos was one of Lee Zeldin's biggest cheerleaders and supporters when Zeldin wasn't that popular in the city. And I broke away from Zeldin. Everybody know what happened between me and Zeldin. That's kind of a long story. 2022. But you can never take away what Santos did for the Republican Party. And as much as people he did for the Republican Party, and you can never take that away. You can never take what he did away for the party, and the fact that he helped the Nassau County GOP flip a seat in 2022 from Democrat, which was held by Tom Suozzi, who me and him are still friends to this day. He know who I am. I helped him out when he was running for governor against Hochul, and I voted for him for governor, and I voted for Anna Maria Ochilla for lieutenant governor. And I still to this day will never ever take that back, because I actually like Swazi. Swazi had a common sense platform in 2022, but he didn't run. He ran for governor, so it opened up the seat for the Democrats to run. I believe it was a stupid idea. Robert Zinnerman against Santos, and Santos helped the Nassau County GOP flip that seat. Helped them flip the seat, and it just like whatever happened after the fact. And like I said before, the reason Santos got in that scandal and the reason they had to get him out of Congress was because he pissed up the Jewish vote. He lied about being Jewish because he know that if he say he was Jewish, there's a lot of Jewish voters that live in New York NY3. New York 3 has a crazy, huge Jewish voter blocks and voter registration, especially in Great Neck. I've been to Great Neck many times. And he knew that. He knew like Jewish voters will easily vote for their own people. If someone is verified to be Jewish, and Santos did what he had to do to verify he was Jewish, he would have got their votes. And without the Jewish vote, he would have never won the Congress seat. And the reason, like I said, he got kicked out of Congress, it wasn't because of the fact that he frauded his way to Congress. There's a lot of people that fraud their way to these seats. They fraud their way to city council. They fraud their way into Congress. They fraud their way to state assembly. They fraud their way to state senate. What about Mrs. Julia Salazar, who lied about being Jewish to get in the state senate and nothing ever happened? Yeah. But the reason Santos got kicked out of the Congress was because he lied about being Jewish, and he pissed off the Jewish votes. And the Jewish vote is really powerful in federal politics, especially with AIPAC and the two horseshoe organizations that's under AIPAC, which is called the Democratic Majority for Israel and the Republican Jewish Coalition. And I've been to a few Republican Jewish Coalition events, but I've never been to the Democratic Majority of Israel before Israel events. But they both of those organizations are under AIPAC. They get funded by AIPAC, and they both support Israel. The horseshoe theory organizations that no matter what, Israel first and that's it. And I want to make this clear that, like I said, the only reason George is in this situation, because he pissed off George vote. That's the only reason why. And they wanted him out, and they did. Because a lot of these congressional people, that time it was Mr. I believe it was Matt Gaetz who wanted this guy expelled, because Matt Gaetz is nothing but a fucking party hack and who'll do anything for the Jewish vote. He put that resolution to get him out the door, and a lot of those Jewish organizations agree, like, let's get him out of here, let's get George out of here, and all those politicians are captive to the Jewish vote, and because of that, they got him out of Congress. They expelled him from Congress, which was fucking crazy. Knowing the fact that there's a lot of congressional members that openly do a lot of dirty shit that they should be expelled, and they expelled him. And like I said, because of that Jewish vote and the Jewish situation, the feds decided to get him indicted on all those charges of fraud and campaign finance violations and stuff like that, and he got convicted. And the man had to do a 7-year bid. But I believe that, like I said, George Santos is George Santos punishment is cruel and unusual. Really, really cruel and unusual punishment. Really cruel and unusual punishment. That's what it is. Cruel and unusual punishment. I say as much, like, if I was the judge, I wouldn't ever gave George a 7-year sentence for campaign finance fraud and all that type of shit like that, because I would just say, like, if I was a judge, I'd say, look, George, you got to pay back all the money you owe, And that's it. If you don't pay back the money you owe, you're going to get locked up. That's it. You're going to do time. If you don't pay back the money that you stole and shit like that from campaign finance and all the fraud. You didn't pay back that money in a certain amount of time. But to give the guy 7 years was really cruel and unusual punishment. And that's what it is. That's what it was. But all that was political. All that shit was political. But for all the Republicans out there that support Donald Trump, y'all should be sending a lot of letters to Donald Trump and to his administration demanding that he pardons George Santos. Trump has a lot of power to pardon the man. Like Santos or hate Santos, I think it was no man should be serving that amount of time for campaign finance fraud. If Santos was to have raped somebody or sexually assaulted somebody or did like a real heinous crime, then 7 years would be okay, justifiable. But just because Santos pissed off a small and powerful voter bloc, which are the Jews, the Jewish voter bloc, the system wanted to come down on the man like he committed some of the most heinous acts a person could ever do. And those acts weren't really that heinous. Unethical, illegal, but it wasn't heinous. It's not heinous. But like I said, guys, Santos need to be free. I believe he need a pardon for what he did, for his crime, because he was Trump's and Zeldin's biggest supporters. And I want to know, where the fuck is Lee Zeldin? Where is Lee Zeldin on this? Where is our EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, with this stuff? Where is he at? Because without George Santos, Zeldin would never got 45% of the vote in the 2022 gubernatorial race against Kathy Hochul. It's a fact. But like I said, guys, if I was in the shoes of Lee Zeldin, and much as Lee Zeldin, if I was in the shoes of Lee Zeldin, I would have fucking told Trump to at least give this guy a commutation, because that's wrong. Have a guy to do like 7 years, a full 7 years for campaign finance violations. But he shouldn't be doing that time at all. He should at least be commuted. But my opinion, he should be straight pardoned and free. So like I said, I saw the letter and I said, yo, this is complete bull. It's just a letter. And I say, well, that's the power of pardons go to Trump. Trump is the only one that can really give a pardon to anybody that convicted for a federal crime or commutation. It's like in New York State. Who the one that can really give a commutation in New York State for a crime or pardon? It's the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul is the only one that can really give a pardon for a crime. But everybody know that. Let's say I get convicted of slapping somebody, right? And I do like 33 years, right? And Hochul say, yo, free Chris Johnson. I'm going to give him a pardon. I got to go through a board first. Before I get a real official pardon, I got to go through a board. Because the reason they got a board of pardons in a lot of these states, all these states, is because that's like a check and balance to make sure that the governor doesn't just pardon anybody. So the governor can say that I recommend that Chris Johnson get pardoned for slapping Joe. The pardons board can say, no, we're not giving the guy a pardon. Give the guy a commutation. But that's what it is. So, about to log off here, get some food. Popeyes, sorry about that, Popeyes. And, yeah, so I have no money, brother. That's all I got to say. So, yeah, so we'll log off here. And free George Santos. Happy Monday. Free Santos.